Hi, we're going to do a couple of inspections today. We're going to inspect two hives. Both of these colonies came from swarms. I'm putting together a video about the swarms and using this one for an example. This is the one we went and got out of the tree. And today makes 2 weeks that we've been feeding them the sugar syrup. That's in another video. And depending on how they're doing, I may or may not give them anymore. I don't like to give it to them any more than I feel like they need to. And 3 weeks is the limit. But we'll see how they're growing out. We'll see how they're building wax, how they're building comb, how the queen's laying eggs, and we'll decide whether or not to give them more from there. But I know the jar will be empty today. I've been filling it a couple times a week. And the other thing would be, if we see the queen, we'll mark her because she hadn't been marked yet. But I'm not going to get too concerned about seeing her. If I don't see her, as long as I see eggs, she'll be alright. So let's open them up. Alright, we've got a couple empty frames here. Alright, pull one of these out to make some room. Keep us from rolling bees. Get them too close together and pull that frame up and you roll them. Sometimes you squish them. If you squish your queen, that's bad. Alright. They're working on the wax pretty good. A lot of nectar in this frame. That could be all sugar water. A lot of pollen. And building out on this side. That's the furthest out to the side I'm standing on. They'll just keep working their way out. Got some cat brood. A lot of larvae. Look like they're doing okay so far. And this right here is more or less the center of the brood nest. They're finally starting to work that old comb a little bit. They'll straighten that up and clean that up and use it. More larvae, nectar, a lot of capped brood. I'm not seeing eggs. Okay, yeah, there's eggs down in there. I'm not seeing the queen, but there's some pollen. She got a little bit of pollen on her legs. This is the frame where they keep building this out a little bit thicker. And I know the queen will hide under there. Yeah, I don't need to close that off or pull that out. They're filling that in themselves. About squish one with my finger, don't want to do that. They've got the same thing going on with these two, but they're filling in the gap, so that's okay. Some more fresh comb. Virgin comb. Okay, there's a lot of eggs right there, I believe. Yeah. I'm just not seeing the queen. That's okay. One of the girls here is in my face. She's not happy, so we'll get them closed back up. And they are still pretty small on wax. So I'm going to go ahead and give them another week of the feed, and then after that I'll cut it out. I kind of keep it limited. That sugar syrup's really not good for them. It's not good for us. It's not good for them, but it'll help them out in a pinch. So we'll give them one more week with that now. She's starting to get bothered. Get them closed back up. I'm not seeing any small hive beetles, any problems like that. We let them get a little bit bigger, we'll do a mite check. We'll come back when I get down here. I'll fill the sugar syrup, fill the jars. All I have to do is raise the lid up and set it in there. Won't have to bother them anymore. Alright, this will be the second one. It's going to be the same as the one we just did. This is the swarm that moved in with us. That's the best kind. And this is the hive that we're trying to experiment with that burlap divider. Or not burlap, canvas, I'm sorry. So we'll see how they're doing, if they're doing any better than the last one. They're really hitting that pollen patty. They're using that pollen patty more than the other one. That last colony, they wasn't really using it much. A lot of bees in there on the inner cover. getting that stuck together with some propolis. Propolis is actually good. A lot of people don't like to see it, but there we go. There's a good example of festooning. That's how they measure out to build a new comb. Try to turn that around here in better light. What they do is they chain together, holding each other's legs, and they hang down, and that's how they measure how much comb they need or how much comb they're going to build, where to put the cells, how far to go from the top, all that, how far they are from the bottom. That's how they do their math, like they're drawing out their blueprint or something. They built all that since last week. That's full of eggs, so that's good. There's a queen in there somewhere. Eggs only stay eggs for 3 days, so she's there somewhere. They're going to go ahead and sit this one out. It's hanging in the other box over here. That'll keep that out of the way, and we can have more room to look here. Don't want to roll any bees. That was some old comb that I gave them, and they are using that. They got some capped brood in there. There's some nectar they're filling in. A lot of larvae, pollen. And they're looking pretty good. Look down in the box there. Sometimes the queen will be hiding down there in the box. I'm going to slide it real slow there and get them out of the way. Don't want to squish them. A lot of capped brood on this one. A lot of capped brood on that side. Get that canvas, they're starting to propolis it to the frame. Won't want to leave it go very long without checking it, or it'd make a mess getting it out of there. This is another frame of used comb. They're cleaning it up pretty good. Got nectar going on in this side. Ah, there we got a small hive beetle. It's the only one I've seen, but if there's that one, there's probably more. that one. I don't see the queen, and I don't see any signs of mites, but that don't mean they're not there. We'll have to do a check once they get a little bigger, get a little bit more of a population in there, and we'll do a mite check. We'll have to treat them for them hive beetles. Okay, so I got the syrup jars back in them, got them buttoned up. They're both looking good. Still not going as fast as I'd like, but that's okay. They're still a pretty small colony. Both queens are in there. I didn't see them, but there's fresh eggs in both colonies, so that's okay. Didn't see any problems with the first one. But this one here, this is the one that moved in on us. It was the smallest of the two. But I do see small hive beetles, like I say. We'll treat that. I don't like to use the chemical treatments. The traps are okay, but the small hive beetles are pretty easily repelled with peppermint. So we're going to try experiment with a little bit of peppermint oil. Put it on a little cotton pad or sponge and set it on top of the bars over in the back, and we'll see how that works. A lot of people swear by it. I've used the old traps before with you put a little bit of grease in the inside and you bait them, and different things you can bait them with, and the small hive beetles will get in there and they'll get stuck, or they'll get, depending on what you put in there, it'll kill them. But it's a flat little square thing with little tiny holes around it. The bees can't get into it, and it makes like a little double wall thing for the beetles to get back into that trap, that bait, that poison, where the bees can't get into it. But I still don't like putting it in there because I don't know how much any fumes or anything else coming out of there, off gas or anything like that. I don't know how that would affect the bees. You can get the other kind that go in a little groove. They fit in the groove between the top bars, a little clear plastic thing that you put some vegetable oil in or something, and the small hive beetles will, when they try to hide from the bees, they'll run down in that and get stuck. That's a neat way to check to see if you've got them, but it's only going to make a small impact on getting rid of them. So we'll try the peppermint oil and see how that works out. And I'm going to feed them again, both colonies, for one more week. Then I'm going to take that away. And I left this canvas divider where it's at. Give them another week, filling out the rest of that one frame, and see if they start using up some more of that older comb first. And then we'll go from there as to how quick we give them more frames. And we'll also be able to gauge it by the other colony. They're a little bit bigger, but they're actually moving a little bit slower. So that can offset things. This isn't a real scientific experiment. Something like that, you'd have to do measurements and weigh things and all that. I'm just doing things with just a visual observation. So it's not an exact science, but we'll see if it seems to help. It's not hurting so far, so we'll just take it from there. Thanks for stopping by. See you again next time.